So I got 4,000 words written today, which I'm feeling really good about. It's been kind of weird. I'm this close to hitting 20,000 words in my book, and it's been weird. I finished Say You Will, and I was like high off of that, right? And then I sat with the draft, and then I read it, and it's not that I thought that it was terrible. It's just that I have a lot of notes from myself of scenes that need to be added, angles that need to be reworked, and I guess I'm just having a little bit of an identity crisis around it. Anywho, yeah, I've just been thinking these last couple of days, or what happens if nobody reads my book? What happens if I get it perfect, whatever perfect means, and I go query it to agents, or I put it out and publish it myself and no one reads it or no one likes it? Like, that'd be freaking devastating. So it's like, I guess I'm just doubting my talents, which is a really strange thing for me because I am pretty confident in my writing abilities, right? Like in my ability to craft a sentence. Yes, it's new, me writing romance, but this isn't the first time I've ever written a story or a story arc. So I don't know why I'm doubting myself and I'm doubting my talents, and I don't know where that's coming from, but I really want that thought to exit my brain. And if the thought doesn't exit my brain, to get a better sense of how I can manage that thought or combat that thought. I don't know. Anyway. Welcome to week 2 of NaNoWriMo. So to say that this week has been a challenge would be a little bit of an understatement, and that's not because the book is not going well. It's primarily because I have had a case of the scaries. So here's the thing, right? Here's a fun fact about Mia. I have studied writing. My whole degree in undergrad and in grad school was about creative writing, fiction, nonfiction, and I have always, in those spaces where I've been trained to write literature and analyze literature, and whatever canon decides, whatever the institution decides is canon, I've had to hide my love for romance and for romantic fiction and genre fiction and popular fiction. And that does not feel great. It doesn't feel good, but I had to do it, right? I had to, I guess I didn't have to. I could have just, navigated those spaces, but there is something to be said about being a minority woman navigating primarily white spaces in a field that is dominated by white male voices. That's just the fact of it, right? So in order to get along and get by, I didn't allow myself to be vocal about the type of books that I read and that I loved and that I was loving to write, because it wasn't proper, whatever that means. So I'm just fighting against a lot of mind trash, to be completely honest. It's nothing actually rooted in reality. I know my book is going to need editing, my first book and my second book. I know it's going to need editing, and I don't know, I just have this expectation that my book needs to be perfect on draft 2 or draft 3, and that's not really a realistic expectation, especially for my first novel, my first series. So it's been going. So here are my stats. I am just a hair over 18,000 words written. I'm about to do a sprint right now, and I'll have to do another sprint, and I'm just kind of like gonna do as much as I can, and it ebbs and flows. Yesterday I wrote 4,000 words. To date it's nighttime and I have written 0. So it just kind of, I have to write around my availability, really. And so, but I am excited about how I've been able to refine my process in writing. And one of the things that I've discovered, so if you are on the NaNoWriMo site, I was searching through the deals and I noticed that there was a deal for this platform called ButterDocs. And ButterDocs is basically like a Scrivener or Chapterly alternative that is for writers, for novel writers. So it's a direct alternative. What I really like about ButterDocs is that it also has a web app as well as a desktop version that you download. And I really like just the cleanliness of how it is organized. Now, that's to say, ButterDocs is still in beta, I believe. And so there are definitely some interesting things that I know that the developers are still working out. But I've been using it for pretty much the whole last week. I made the change on Saturday or Sunday of last week. I don't know. I downloaded it, but I have imported both of my books into ButterDocs. I am downloading it religiously because I don't know, I just, something disappears, I would be devastated. But I am, what I really love about ButterDocs, and one of the things that I'm excited about, is that as I go to get beta feedback, or as I go to get feedback from my editor or my sensitivity readers, then I can give access to specific versions that can be comment only or read only, or I can have multiple people in one document that's separate from my main draft, but I'm not having to chase down different file names or go deep into my Google Drive to find that version with that feedback. So that's super cool. And I also like the board version. So I'm a big Trello girly, and so I love any type of Kanban, however you pronounce it, any type of board view where I'm able to drag and drop cards and add a kind of like at a glance version of the entirety of my book. And I actually really like being able to have that in comparison to my Google Sheet. Now, that's to say, I am keeping my Google Sheet. I am still tracking my words in my Google Sheet and then updating it into the NaNoWriMo site, because you will pry my spreadsheet from my cold, dead hands. But I like how it is now, and I'm very interested to see what it will look like in the future as they release more elements. And the team is pretty responsive to feedback and feature requests. So that's pretty cool. So my husband was going through a bunch of boxes because even though we've been in this house for a year, we are still not fully unpacked. And he found this journal. And I remember receiving this journal. I got it as a graduation gift from high school from my best friend. And July 13th, 2008. And she bought this at the British Museum in London. And at the time, I was a big Moleskine journal girly. Like, I always had a journal with me when I was in high school. And fun fact about me, one of the things I used to love to do, and this is how I know that I'm in my calling, is I would go to coffee shops or Barnes and Noble and sit in the cafe and just people watch. Like, my favorite thing was to just watch people in conversation with other people or solo or whatever they were doing and make up stories about people. Now, were those stories good? No. Were they often very overdramatic? Yes. But it was like one of my favorite things to do, and because I would spend a lot of time alone, but it was my favorite thing to do. And so I was going through this, and besides some very, very cringe journal entries about my first real boyfriend, I was totally very, very emo. I have entries here of going to DC. I went to New York with my friend. I rode the subway. yeah, like, this is crazy. Look, this is pretty cool. So found in DC outside the Reagan Library. I pressed this flower into it. This flower's 15 years old, 12 years old. It's crazy, it's nuts. Oh God, I have such bad writing in here, bad little snippets. Did I read some of my really bad scenes? Oh my God, I'm gonna do it. The train sped into the station with quiet ferocity. Shades of green blaring together, competition with the speeding cars on the highway, fast. Pointed arrows leading towards my destination. Dramatic M dash. We are the generation of solitude, of lost humanity. No one cares, sitting in the drug-induced haze. No thought of your neighbor, of giving him a kind word to say thanks, hello. No hello, goodbye, see you next time. Earbuds like the Bradburian prophecy, spitting lies and false companionship. We are the generation of substitution, of wanting a friend, but not seeing the forest for the trees. Oh gosh, oh God. I was like unmedicated depressed when I was a freshman in college, which literally changed the entire trajectory of my life because I ended up walking away from a scholarship to study music to go move to Texas and stay with my dad. And because I lived in Virginia, so hence why a lot of my stories are written about Virginia, DC, Northern Virginia and Southern Virginia, because I lived in both places. I was like unmedicated, very depressed, but it worked out in the end because after I moved to San Antonio, I met my husband 4 months later. So it's okay. Anyway, that's enough of a trip down memory lane. Let's get some writing done. So today is officially the start of week 3 of NaNoWriMo. Today is the first day of week 3. One of the things that came to light for me recently, and I wanted to make sure I addressed it in my video, is I have learned that there is some controversy, some notable missteps from some of the admins and people who run NaNoWriMo administration. And I just want to say that I am continuing to do NaNoWriMo, but I will be distancing myself from any NaNoWriMo sanctioned events or anything that's directly tied to the NaNoWriMo organization. So I'm still going to be doing NaNoWriMo videos. I'm still going to be going for my goal. That's not changing, but just I don't want to support organizations that are not decisive in issues of safety and especially involving internet safety and children. It's just not, I can't stand that. I can't be for that. So anyway, that's it for this week's video. I'll get more to you next week. All right, bye.